What is going on, guys? Craig 1287 here. I'm bringing you yet another Battlefield 4 gameplay. Going on there in the background, you are going to be seeing another round of Naval Strike for the Carrier Assault game mode. And again, this is going to be some footage that focuses mostly on the boat combat in the fast attack craft. And at one point, I was planning on doing a somewhat like a review, I guess, of the burst weapon on the fast attack craft. We'll just call them FACs. But I just kind of figured that it was a little overkill to do a full legit review. I mean, your choices are, there's only 3 choices of primary weapons you can use. So it just felt a little weird doing a review of something that really doesn't have too much going on in terms of other choices. But I still wanted to just bring attention to kind of a PSA, I guess, public service announcement, that you guys should be using the burst. If you're in a boat on Naval Strike or any of the maps in general, but the weapon is just, in my opinion, by far the superior option in all cases, whether you are using it against other boats, whether you are using it against infantry, whether you're using it against ground vehicles that are on land, or whether you are, especially if you are using it against aircraft. Now, it can be a tricky weapon to use because of the burst action. A lot of the time, you know, you'll kill someone with the first shot, and then the other 4 that follow are all going to be wasted. So you do have to, you got to be a little careful with how you do fire it. It's easy to overshoot a lot of rounds and waste a lot of ammunition. And I even do that myself. I find myself a lot of times sitting at 0 and 0 for the reserve rounds and just waiting for the reserve rounds to kick in, and then you got to wait for the reload to kick in. And it's just something you got to deal with using this. It's not necessarily. I mean, you could just be very cautious and very good with managing your ammo, but if you happen to run into a lot of enemies, well, you still got to kill them. But it still can eat through the ammo really, really quick. And that is especially true when shooting at air, because it can be pretty tricky to hit aircraft. But the reason I like it over any of the other ones is, well, for one thing, you can get a lot more rounds downrange in a quicker time because of its rate of fire. But the biggest perk that it has over the other 2 shots that you can use, the other 2 round types that you can use in the fast attack craft, is the projectile velocity. Those shots, like the default rounds that you get, the 25 millimeters, those things are slow as crap. When you're shooting at infantry, that's no big deal. When you're shooting at vehicles, they're big enough. It's not that big a deal. But if they're moving pretty quick, then yeah, if it's something like a hovercraft or a jet ski, then it really, really helps to have that added velocity. They actually have a faster drop rate than do the normal rounds, but because of their velocity being so high that it is, they actually don't drop as fast. Their drop rate is higher, but when you do the math with their drop rate and their velocity, the bullets, the projectiles, don't actually drop as suddenly over distance as do the normal rounds. So that makes it a lot easier to hit things that are at a distance. You don't have to account for bullet drop as much, especially if it is air. You know, when you're shooting at targets on the ground, you can see your projectiles as they land around your target or behind your target. You can see them bouncing off of rocks or off the hill or something like that. And it can help you to make your next follow-up shots a little easier. You know, if you're hitting a tree or something behind them and the tree's above, then you know to aim down a bit. But when you're shooting at an aircraft, your rounds just keep going. They don't blow up, so you don't see, oh, I'm aiming a little too high. It can be a little tricky. So having that extra velocity makes sure pretty much just makes your shots a little bit easier to hit. And the fact that you're bursting out 5 in such quick succession, that just makes it a lot easier to hit. You know, at least 1 or 2 of your 5 shots in that first burst are probably going to hit your target if you're fairly close to aiming on target. So basically, basically what I'm getting at is use the burst round. It's great against infantry. The splash damage and the 5 rounds that hit are guaranteed to pretty much get you a kill every time. They're great against other attack boats. You can, with an entire magazine of the 30 rounds, you can take out any hovercraft that flies past you. Granted, if you miss your shots, then yeah, you're not going to be able to take them out with that full 30 round. But with them shooting out so fast, the likelihood of that hovercraft getting away. So that's typically what happens is when people are in boats, and I'm watching people using the 25mm. I'm watching like Rival X Factor and some of those guys. They still use the 25mm and things like that. And I'm just curious as to why, but I just see them engaging targets, and the target they just don't have the time to kill to take out the boat or whatever, and they get behind a rock, and then it's a boat. You got to navigate around. It's not something on ground where you can just fly like the what's the saying? Fly as the crow flies. You can't take a straight line. You have to go where the water is, so you've got to dodge and weave around the rocks, which was what the people were using for cover in the first place. And now they've already gone past it. It just doesn't end up working out. So you really need to make sure that you kill your target before they ever have a chance to get away. So, especially hovercrafts, since they can get onto land, that can completely take them out of your range at that point. If they get onto land, they get a building to block your view, and now you're out of luck. So, if you guys have not already tried this thing out, you definitely need to be using the burst shot. Practice paying attention to your ammo counter. That's going to be your killer every time that gets you killed. Is just running out of ammo in a sticky situation, at which point you just gotta pop your active protection, which you should also be running, and just book it out of there as soon as you can, get behind a rock, and wait for that thing to replenish. But, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the gameplay going on there in the background. I hope if you guys have been rocking out Naval Strike, I hope you guys are. I know a lot of people didn't get, premium, but, oh my goodness, Naval Strike really is the best thing to happen to Battlefield 4 since Battlefield 4 releasing. It's such an amazing DLC. These maps are so well designed. Carrier Assault game mode is the best thing to happen to the first-person shooter genre since Titan mode was introduced into 2142. By the way, 2142, if you guys have a PC capable of running it, which if you've bought a PC in the past 2 years or 3 or 4 or 5 years, your thing should be able to run that game. It's old. Amazon is currently having a sale, and you can pick up Battlefield 2142 for like $1, less than $1. It's like 90-something cents. I'll have a link to that in the video description below. I don't gain anything from that. It's not a referral link for me or anything. Heck, the one I'm sending you might be a referral link from the guy that I got it from. I don't think it is. But, yeah, check that game out. It is a fantastic game. Still probably one of my favorite multiplayer shooters of all time, even with Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and things like that are modern and whatnot. I just love 2142. So, guys, check that out. Check out the burst fire on the FACs, the Fast Attack Crafts, and I hope you have enjoyed everything here, the commentary and the gameplay going on there in the background. Have a good one. Ta-ta.